Hello everyone, welcome back to some more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, we cross-examined, the two beats again, only to find out that, as it turns out, the street they were walking on, was here, the west side of Briar Road. They were walking down, and the incident occurred on the other side of the road, right? Well, in all actuality, that isn't true. You see, the scene of the crime was actually right here, the complete opposite side of the road of where we thought it once was. And the reason for that is because of the fact that, well, basically, what's it called? Rolly wanted to go for a dinner with his wife. Because, you know, they've been basically hammering it in that, like, London Bobby is basically a really hard job. So, yeah, he just wanted one night or so where he could relax. But, unfortunately, this side of Briar Road is part of his beat. And as per the code of, what's it called, policing, if it's on his beat, then the policeman has to assist with initial investigations and help out detectives, which would have ruined his plan. So yeah, that happened, that was discovered, and yeah. Fortunately, Van Zeeks took, I wouldn't say took pity, but yeah, he basically let him off easy. With a warning not to do this again. So yeah, that's where we are in the case now, and to be completely honest, this is probably the last part of the case, because there's not much else to do here. So yeah.
Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of the crime like that?
Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime.
Objection!
No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Van Zeeks, is this true?
Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly hard to think about. After all, she was throwing stuff randomly, and if the knife just so happened to hit the window top or whatever, it would have fallen straight down, which would be where the victim was.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request a cross-examination of a new witness, my lord.
Once again?
My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrideb.
Me? Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garrideb, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrideb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, and as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you do not just books, but anything you can lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before?
I don't recall it.
Yeah? That was a whole 3 seconds you were paused for a second there. Seriously?
Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all the regalia said that the members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No. I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out.
But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that? Are you joking?
What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garrett.
We have several like that at home. She wouldn't know it was missing. She could have easily thrown it and not realized.
Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo? If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already.
Then take the stand, juror. The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman.
Thank you, Lord Van Zieks.
I'm going to have to testify? Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So, I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrett. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels?
Certainly, my lord.
Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Finally. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer.
Witness, state your name and occupation.
Yes. My name is Joan Garrett. And I'm a juror, and such like.
Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore.
The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord.
You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, Do not attempt to hide the truth.
Oh, dearie me. Chin up, Johnny. Nothing to worry about now. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John.
Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it?
Rather think I ought to justify myself as well. Don't you? But what about your knee, dear?
Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Garridab?
Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Numberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action, now living in the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Will you not engage in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, yes. Quite.
I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question.
Sir, at once. There. I changed his voice to like something, I don't know, a bit more, I don't know, because like I wanted to make it seem like he was like, I mean, he was basically faking it that he was rich earlier. So, you know what I mean? I feel like a voice like this would probably be best for him, you know? Yeah, well. The Battle of Garridab.
Yes. On the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now.
Knocked the counterstick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though, and got the window open.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if 1 or 2 knives went missing, I'm afraid. If that body thing in the victim's back really was one of them, you'll have a job proving it, I think.
It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening.
Yeah, you know, see, the funny thing is, that's not even the worst. That's not even much of a battle, to be fair.
Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself, is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment.
Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here?
Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife.
In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end.
Van Zeeks may well be right.
Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Very well, Counsel. Begin your cross-examination.
Alright. The Battle of Garridab. Alright. Can't recall the reason now. We'll deal with that later. It's not exactly important. Soon had it out though and got the window open.
Hold it!
Did you? And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it?
The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really.
Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out.
A most precarious situation you put yourself in.
Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street. Well, the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any. See? Oh wait, hey yo, wait, hold up. Thinking about that now, you have to go fill your bathtub by the bucket. Oh wow. Sorry, I'm a first world person that gets his water from the pipe. So yeah, literally, you'd have to like. Is someone calling me? No. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, what I'm saying is like, yeah, I guess they like had to like get in a bucket and just dump it in. Wow. Goes to show how lucky we have it these days.
The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although, the little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe.
The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off.
I mean, can't you do that if you buy like 1 or 2 bottles of water? Have you actually seen the state of the man?
I believe he uses all of his income to buy books.
Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could to find to throw at him.
Oh wait, no, I already read that. Sorry.
Hold it!
Let's see this one. Sorry, would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, you see. Pipes and whatnot, fishing tackle, you know the sort of thing. You can make money off that, you know. Actually, yeah, hold up.
I like to carve wooden trinkets too, and then there's my leather work.
Actually, yeah. Couldn't you, like, start a shop or, like, start a small little, like, not like, small little area or something? Not area, but a small little, like, stall on the side of the road you can make? I mean, you can easily just carve stuff, sell it off, make a business, and actually get a few actual maids, like... Whatever. Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place, and we have dozens of the things.
They sell them at the market sometimes, 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at mealtimes too, instead of a knife and fork.
No, Joan, we don't want our people thinking I'm some kind of savage. Here we go again with the scaldings. Why are they being so evasive?
I imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim.
Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Alright, actually thinking about that now, remember, this knife is special. The tip is missing. Yeah, it's gone. Which means the tip is somewhere we don't know. Anyways, with that being said, go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir. Okay, so we gotta prove it, okay. Well, question now is, do we present the knife here? Or do we present... what here, huh? Establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Okay. That's our hint. So before we can prove... yeah, so before we can prove how it was that knife, it was their knife, we have to prove how it came to be there in the first place. Injury... if we could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Alright, well then. I guess let's look at this.
Hold it!
Statement 3. Even though the room was on fire?
As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman she wants to throw, she must throw.
That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, I mean, it is a type of throw. How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge. A napkin.
Excuse me!
Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garrideb. Don't shoot! Sorry. I beg your pardon? Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles Yoting launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Jeez. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She lands at directly with every ball. Good grief, woman! We're not at home now. This is a court of law.
Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear.
What's she even doing with the teapot in here?
Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened,
Your pipe, sir?
Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of our soft projectiles, she did. Yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see. Your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage that thing up for now.
You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
Huh. I wonder what she make of this account. I think it could be important. Why? Because we ain't got nothing else to talk about. The defense believes Mr. Garrideb's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony.
Indeed. Common sense, one might say.
Might one?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie, there you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
Yeah, bro? Yeah? You wasn't even flirting with... whatever.
Very well.
The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. The pipe has been entered into the court record.
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
Oh, no, it's fine. Thank you to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Ah, yeah, let's do that, please. Let us examine the pipe. Well, it certainly broke. Looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason it feels slightly ominous to me, like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Garrideb's dressing gown.
I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Garrideb, given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this.
Either that or he can't afford to replace it. Well, I mean, it would take a little bit to thing this, and it even got chipped too. Ooh, what is this? Oh, something that just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The very tip we've been looking for?
The tip of a blade.
Surely, it couldn't be. Yep, that's the tip, alright. Just the tip.
Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Garadab. Now, if we can return to the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim?
Alright, I think we have what we need. We have proof of the fact that the knife was, yeah, we have proof that the knife was, what's it called, ours. So, let's see. R was to oh yeah, sorry, it's always been ours. I'm just, whatever. Anyways. Let's prove it, well. Good thing we got the fragment of metal right here.
Objection!
Mr. Garadeb, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please?
You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing.
You can't?
Used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course.
But that was some time ago now.
Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days,
I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. It's fine, bro. I mistake entire words sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
I mean, you can't get some glasses? They don't have that in this time of day or something? You must be very duzzy.
What is that? A tiny scrap of metal?
Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence.
Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence?
It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garadeb's pipe.
My pipe, you say?
By Jove, I wonder how that got there.
And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road?
I am.
What?
When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal can unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. Wow.
You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
Easy, the jackknife.
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing.
A common issue with inferior blades showed at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case.
Huh?
The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garadeb's pipe.
Good grief! Lord Van Zeeks! I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Order! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery?
This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle.
A miracle?
So, Van Zieks has figured it out, hasn't he? Has he?
Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once.
Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
Oh, yeah, he had this thing in his hand as usual. She must have thrown it, and the knife must have broken that in half. While the knife, maybe. Oh no, that's the truth. If we look at the pipe, there's a chip on the back of it. Yeah, the knife must have hit here, and then broke off and got inside the thing. Yeah. That's right.
Oh, dearie me.
During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time.
Which caused the tip to break off, of course.
Good lord!
Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe.
The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1.
And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrett's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below.
Oh gosh. Oh dear. Oh. No!
Objection!
A full-bodied theory. I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of simply trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost possible vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument.
Sorry?
But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see, it's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency.
An insurmountable...
What?
Lord Van Zieks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified?
An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back.
Yes, in her...
That's right, you silly little man.
Now, John Oldthing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back.
Well, there is a way.
Order! Order! Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head.
Well, he's lost for words. Look.
I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place.
I don't know, though, what really did happen.
It would appear that the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder.
If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand.
Your theory, my learned friend, is history.
We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency.
Or in other words,
We simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. Miss Usato.
you mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you are on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there was no way it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying?
Counsel!
There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife fell from above and could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer.
Goodness!
Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time.
Counsel, present this evidence of which you speak.
Alright. This is the last inconsistency. The final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is not hard. It's the book. After all, Beat said that it was in the victim's hand, right? Well, the book was found in the victim's hand. What else? And to get the knife into her back, she'd have to have her back facing the sky.
Take that!
Which means this, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book?
Is that not Mr. Garrett's book?
Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But, as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that.
Quite so. That is as a part of his wholesale transport planting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road.
That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point.
But
What made you place that book in the victim's hand?
well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly that must have been before she suffered the knife wound.
Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything.
So, the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand?
By jingo!
I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me.
We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garadeb household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past.
Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw.
Yes, Mrs. Garadeb. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume.
Well, I never!
It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and in the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above.
And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker.
So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place.
No. This was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident.
And that is the real truth behind this case.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb?
The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that.
There, old bean. Old bean? She's 38. What are you talking about? Old. You're older than her.
Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw the knife as well. John, dear, it's all right. I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly.
Oh, just like the wedding photo.
Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garadeb?
She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern.
Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could have easily been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions.
There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just received word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her.
How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems.
Yeah. Yes, that is good news.
So, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Yes? On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon.
Oh no, Mr. Natsume.
That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead.
Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too.
I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless.
It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me.
Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him.
Yes, that poor man.
So, when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I have managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires, and for that, I am truly sorry. One could indeed say some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our long lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both.
Oh.
Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Yes, my lord.
In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare that truth can be extremely cruel at times.
Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time.
I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
That's how his voice sounds?
Not guilty.
Very well. Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty.
Wow, our first not guilty verdict where it actually feels like we won.
And finally, Mr. Natsume. Yes, Lord Sir? You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned.
What a case. 20th of February, 3:17 p.m. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber.
Oh, locum!
Wait, you mean me?
Of course! Of course! Is there another locum here?
Is there even one?
Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it?
What's wrong with using my actual name?
Oh, at last, I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah! Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted.
Would it be so hard just to say that then?
Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink!
Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now.
No, not that! Lovely, loyal, locum, lawyer!
Yes?
I mean, as I said before, I have just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over at my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you, locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You barreled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams from the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born!"
Well, that's very flattering. And we're very pleased for you.
This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan.
And an anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work?
There you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I am here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I am glad to say. Oh? The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck.
It's just finished.
What? No!
Then my haste was in vain?
It's you, Herlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light.
Charming.
This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to hospital more urgently,
I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir?
Nothing.
Priceless. I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you are not even found guilty.
But there is no bright side.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume?
Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and
now by the Reaper! Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. Oh, so I thought that said Soseki for a minute.
It will be alright, Mr. Natsume.
Huh?
If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you.
Hiya!
With a perfectly executed Susato takedown.
Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan.
Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon.
Oh.
It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I've visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learnt so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it.
That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse?
That's not it at all.
The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Soseki Natsu-san. Could be an interesting read. Get it? Because the real Soseki Natsume is an author. And what about Mr. Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? What about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we?
A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London.
And only now does it feel as though we've fully found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right. Well, we need to find lodging before it bankrupts us.
I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted.
Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Ah, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with a floor, a ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit.
Oh my, an evil spirit?
Oh, yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. We'll think about it, if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative.
would you consider taking lodgings with me?
Really?
Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of?
Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to taking lodgings in the Great Detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words.
So, suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome diner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist.
I don't know what to say, but thank you, and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Somebody's happy.
Locum, I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume, it has been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But, Locum, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer.
Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author.
Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I have little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. I'll go till the end of the case. Who cares, right? I mean, it's like, what, 20 more minutes? So, 20th of February, 4:41 p.m., the attic room. Ah, so this
is to be our new office, yes.
Our office. I rather like the sound of that.
Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step, but I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Ah, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner.
No, that voice isn't good.
We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We'll have a lot to celebrate.
There, I'll give her Mrs. Beats' voice. We're not gonna voice her again, so.
Iris, you must let me help you. All right then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad.
Splendid, splendid. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help but wondering what adventures await us. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is... Sorry? London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights leave behind the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well,
I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London. Alright. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. That's all. Alright. Can I just say, I loved that case. Like, seriously. It's, well, first off, it's our first real case. Not when you think about it. It's not like 22, okay. It's not like the other cases where, like, you know, that is like, it's like building up to something and then it introduces something and it's a whole thing. No. You know, this case is one that you can enjoy on its own if you feel. You know what I mean? Beyond that point is the fact that, what? Beyond that point, though, I do like the fact that, what's it called? Its name has a lot of meaning. The Clouded Kokoro, as in, you know, it's it's a story that involves the idea of love, which we see a lot through this case. I mean, we see young love through Patricia and Rolly Beat, and old love through the Gyarados, and what's it called? The tribulations that come with either situation, you know? The fact that, what's it called? Rolly Beat was literally willing to give up basically his job. Well, I mean, not necessarily his job, but he was willing to do something he knew was wrong to, what's it called? You know, be with the one he loves. And matter of fact, you even saw a smaller moment, actually, which is probably my favorite moment in the entire case. What's it called? When Mr. Gyarados literally, what's it called, butts in on the testimony saying, "Hey, look, I was involved too in this case, in the argument, wasn't I? Don't I have a right to testify? Besides, I don't like leaving a comrade to face the guns alone." You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. To be honest with you, thinking about that, that's probably my favorite moment in the entire, like, game. Seriously, like, I'm not sure if you guys, like, realized, but, like, I was literally smiling when I saw that, because it's like, you know, yeah. Anyways, though, that is it for this case. Next time we'll be handling the Hound of the Baskervilles, the adventure, well, yeah, no, stupid, the adventure of the unspeakable story. Ugh, sorry. The thing says Hound of the Baskervilles, so there's that. But before that, I do want to mention, for anyone that has decided to follow along for this, again, I will not be doing these, or at least I don't think I will be, but at this point, you can do pretty much the rest of the game, the escapades. I mean, Escapade 1 takes place after Case 1. Episode 2 takes place a little before, maybe a week or two before Case 2. Episode 3 takes place just after Case 3. No, yeah, just after this case. Episode 4 is, yeah, so yeah, literally the rest of the escapades you could do now if you like, because yeah, this takes place after episode 3. This takes place after episode 3. Yeah, everything takes place after episode 3, except for episode 8, which I think this takes place at episode 3. There's also yes. This takes place after episode 3, so literally the rest of the escapades can be played now, since they all take place in the interim between cases 4 and 5. Does that mean am I going to do another escapade episode?
I'm not sure. I might do one more. Again, I don't want to do all of these because, you know, that kind of gives you guys, like, what reason do you guys have to buy the game for yourself? You know what I mean? Because this is basically a visual novel type game, so you know what I mean? Well, I know I did the first two. But that had horrible mic audio, so I might do one more. I don't know, though. Whatever. Anyways, that will be all for this episode, and I will see all of you guys next time.